A Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai Bashim, Chawadash, the Apostles' Great Millstone, Shalom, Tribbles, and Highways and Byways, doing the works sincerely and faithfully, and continually fighting that good fight of faith. And once again, the Wadi Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, for setting up the apostles, bishop, and elders as our teachers and helpers and teaching us this word and guiding us through. All right. So this lesson is going to be concerning the house of David. All right. Now, every so often we'll hear about the house of David and the house of Saul, and men who believe that they're the house of David and everybody else is of the house of Saul. Well, I want to take a little look at the house of David and what David was about, and the Lord saying that He was going to bring it back, right? And it's one of those things where you got to pay attention to detail. All right, you got to pay attention to detail. So with that being said, I believe I'm going to start with Amos 9 and 11, right? Amos 9 and 11 says this. It says, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old." All right? So let's go back to the days of old and see what King David was about in the house of David. Let's go back in the days of old. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 8, right? So we're going to start here. And it says, "And after this it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them. And David took Meth-Gamah out of the hand of the Philistines. And he smote Moab, and measured them with a line, casting them down to the ground. Even with 2 lines measured he to put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. And so the Moabites became David's servants, and brought gifts. David smote also Hadadezer, the son of Rohab, the king of Zobah, as he went to recover his border at the river Euphrates. And David took from him 1,000 chariots, and 700 horsemen, and 20,000 footmen. And David hewed all the chariots of horses, but reserved of them for 100 chariots. For 100 chariots. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to secure Hadadezer, king of Zoar, David slew of the Syrians 22,000 men. 6. Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants to David, and brought gifts, and the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. Verse 7. And David took the shields of gold that were on the servants of Hadadezer, and brought them to Jerusalem, and from Betha, and from Bethothia, cities of Hadadezer, King David took exceeding much brass. When Toking of Hamath heard that David had smitten all the host of Hadadezer, then Tuai sent Joram his son unto King David to salute him and bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and smitten him. For Hadadezer had wars with Tuai, and Joram brought with him vessels of silver and vessels of gold and vessels of brass, which also King David did dedicate unto the Lord, which the silver and gold that he had dedicated all the nations with subdued, of Syria, and the Moabites, and of the children of Ammon, the Philistines, and Amalek, and the spoils of Hadadezer, son of Rohab, king of Zobah. And David gat him a name when he returned from the smiting of the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. And David reigned over all Israel, and David executed judgment and justice unto all his people. And Joab the son of Zeruiah was over the host, and Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud had recorded, and Zodok the son of Abitub, and Amalek and the son of Abiathar were the priests, and Zeruiah in Syria was the scribe, and Benaniah the son of Jebediah was over both the Catharites and Slakia, and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief rulers. Slakia on those names, a little tough to pronounce when you're reading them fast. All right? So this was what David was about in the days of old, right? So from there, keep in mind, the Lord said he was going to bring it back, right? So even to this present day, we practice the righteous acts, but one of the most important things within our minds and our spirit, we desire to have that ruling class mentality. All right? David didn't take no shorts, man. David was a ruler. He was a king. He was fierce. So if King David was on the planet right now, do you think he would love the Edomites? You think he'd love the heathens? Okay? So King David didn't take no bullshit. And likewise, we as servants of the Lord, we're going through these things. We're practicing the righteous acts. But at the same time, we ain't taking no bullshit from no heathens, man. We ain't bringing them up on the same level as us. None of these nations. Hence the name Yasha. We are the princes of the power. How does that look? We're going to go down to a lower level and make them equal to us, man. That shit was done far too long. All right? So now, as the Lord is building the house of David, we're keeping in mind the times of old when King David was a fierce ruler. He ain't take no shorts. All right? What we got here? This is Psalms 139. Let's just jump down to get to the points starting about 18. Let me see how the pressure I'll start at 18. It says, if I should count them, they are more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with thee. Surely thou wilt slay the wicked, O power. Depart from me, therefore, ye bloody men. For they speak against thee wickedly, and thy enemies take thy name in vain. Do not I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee? Am I not grieved with those that rise up against thee? I hate them with a perfect hatred. I count them my enemies. Search me, O power, and know my heart. Try me, and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked in me, any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. All right? So I read this to say what? If the Lord is going to bring, the house of David back and build it as of old, what do you think, what kind of mindset we going to be in? We ain't going to be loving our neighbors, the heathens, and we ain't going to be loving them. We're going to have them under subjection. All right? They're going to be coming. They're going to have to answer to us. They ain't going to be on the same level as us. They ain't going to be equal to us. All right? So again, the Lord is building it up as the days of old. He's putting the Spirit on us to what? To understand, the things that were written aforetime. And like I said, if King David was on the planet right now, you think he'd be going, trying to make amends and bring everybody back together? Absolutely not. We're coming in the spirit of a ruling mentality. We're going to be putting a smackdown on all these heathens and all these nations. All right? We got 1 Samuel 18. What I want to get out of here. speaking about the house of Saul. Now, when you get into the house of Saul, you got to understand what was transpiring, what was happening, and why the house of Saul was waxing weaker. All right. A lot of people just make the statements, "Oh, the house of Saul is waxing weaker, weaker and weaker." But why? All right, let's find out why. Going down to verse 12, and it says, and this is right to the point, and it says, verse 12, and Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with him and was departed from Saul. All right. So basically, the Lord was raising up David, setting him up to be king, right? And the Spirit was upon David. But the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul. So when the Spirit of the Lord started to depart from Saul, Saul started to become spiritually weaker. Now, he still was a man that had the ability to get the army together, to go out and hunt, because that's exactly what they did to King David. Saul got his mighty men together and went out and pursued David. All right? So he wasn't weak in that aspect. He was weak in the sense that the Lord had departed from him. And likewise, we see that to this very day. When men go astray and go off and go their own way, what happens? They become weaker in the spirit because now the Lord has departed from them. All right? And this has been going on for years. Look at all these guys that have come in. They were lasting for a little while, and then they went astray, and then they had their burst of a thrust, if you will. But slowly but surely, they all fizzled out. Why? Because the Lord departed from them, therefore setting them up to become weaker and weaker and weaker until they just gave up. And for all you brothers who've been around for the past 10, 12, 13 years, you've seen it. You've witnessed it. How that the pattern that one takes after the Lord departs from them. All right? So therefore, the main reason why the house of Saul was weak, okay, because the Lord had departed from Saul, and the Spirit was resting upon David to be king. And the Spirit of the Lord, raised up King David, because King David had peace for 40 years. All right? And he didn't have peace for 40 years because he was going out shaking hands with everybody, going out making leagues with everybody. Absolutely not. King David had peace for 40 years because he had a lot of blood on his hands. He was taking people out. And then no one dared to even come up against him. So again, when the Lord said he's going to build the house of David as of old, what do you think? What do you think the mindset's going to be? We're going to be rulers, man. We're going to be fierce rulers, man. All right. From there, this is 2 Samuel chapter 3. Jump down to about let me see here. Where are we here? Let me just see it right quick. 3:1. It says, now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. Now, why did the house of David wax stronger and stronger? Why? Because the Spirit was with him. The Spirit was upon him, okay, and raised him up. And we just read that. And the Spirit was departed from Saul, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. Right? So we see those very same things happening as we, as the Lord brings us down, this path, of experiences, having the ability to go through the experiences that we're going through, building us up, raising us up, preparing us, supping with us, giving us the ability to to experience these things, so when the time comes, we're gonna know how to, wheel and deal, and as we do right now. And of course, when the time truly comes, we're gonna be changed to the point where the Lord's gonna put all that we need in our inward parts. All right. But right now we're practicing the righteous acts, but we're still keeping that ruling class mentality, because now why? We know who we are. We are the princes of power. We're Yasher Allah. All right? And what better name can one call himself, man? There isn't one. There isn't one. All right? So I wanted to just hit that. It was on my mind. I was doing a little reading, and a couple things had popped into my mind, and I want to just bring that out. The house of David and the house of Saul, and what were the reasons why the house of David waxed stronger? Because the spirit was with the house of David. What were the reasons why the house of Saul waxed weaker? Because the spirit departed from Saul. All right. But keeping in mind, going back to what we just read, okay, Amos 9:11, I'll read it again. It says, "In that day will I raise up the tabernacles of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise it, and I will raise it up, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old." Okay, what was being built in the days of old? What's being built like the days of old? The house of David. And we just read who and how David subdued people by war, by violence. All right. So keeping that in mind, we are steadfast, man. And when the Lord truly gives us that power, who's gonna stand in our way? Nobody. Who's gonna be under our subjection? Everybody. All right. Yahweh Shai is gonna be there with us. King David's gonna be there with us. All right. Ain't nobody gonna come up against us ever again. All right. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom, and I'll see y'all brothers another one.